Thank you very much, Chairman Graves. I very much appreciate this hearing, especially at this time when we have a new administrator, Administrator Martinez, whom I'm pleased to welcome. I particularly appreciate this hearing as well, Mr. Chairman, because in June of 2017, I wrote and requested a hearing because of the upcoming release. It hadn't yet been released, but there was considerable interest in the release of the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine's study of the FMCSA's compliance and safety program. So I think that what you're doing today is certainly in keeping with what my concerns have been, and clearly your calling this hearing today shows that you, Mr. Chairman, have the same concerns, and I appreciate your using this hearing now that we have a new administrator for us to assess where we are on the very vexing issue of increase in the number of people who lose their lives because of truck accident. Usually we're able to do something in our country when we see things going up, and then we gradually take action and the problem begins to decrease. But there has been an almost 30% increase in the number of fatal truck and bus crashes in the last almost 10 years, since 2009. With the new administrator, with these figures showing no movement, this hearing is especially timely so that we can understand where we are and can move forward more rapidly. The major concern I have, Mr. Chairman, is with the safety fitness determination rule. The agency has been working on this rule for more than a decade in order to get a better system to track the safety record of motor carriers. So I understand the difficulty of the issue, but the time span becomes unacceptable in light of what we're seeing with the increase in truck and bus fatalities. I was pleased to note that 85% of carriers do have a safety rating, but if you look more closely at these figures, it shows that 40% of the ratings are more than a decade old, which means that they are probably not a good indicator of the carrier's current level of safety. So we are really behind even where we have been doing better. To the credit of the trucking industry, that industry has asked for years for a bright line safety test that would be developed by the agency. That effort, of course, is currently underway at the FMCSA to evaluate its underlying data and analysis model, to look at its algorithms, but that's what you've been doing, or that's what the agency has been doing for 10 years. I say time up, and that the time has come for ensuring that the agency responsible for ensuring truck and bus safety actually issues safety ratings. I have long advocated a more robust commercial truck and driver training for more commercial truck and bus training. There seemed to have been agreement, but I was disappointed that we did not get exactly what I wanted in the FAST Act. Congress first directed the Department of Transportation to develop training standards for commercial motor vehicles a quarter of a century ago. In 2016, the FMCSA did issue a new rule based on recommendations of negotiated rulemaking. Now, negotiated rulemaking is a very good way to proceed. However, the agency failed to advance a critical recommendation that proceeded from that rulemaking to require a minimum number of hours behind the wheel training. Mr. Chairman, this is graduation season. In order to graduate from college or high school, you have to have a number of hours. That's how we know whether you are educated in the subject, whether you are trained. I don't see how we can fail to require the same for people who get behind the wheel in the biggest vehicles on the road. I want to commend Administrator Martinez for his efforts, the efforts of the agency in implementing the electronic logging device, we call it ELD. That mandate that Congress did pass in MAP 21, the bill before the FAST Act. Particularly note that you yourself, Mr. Martinez, mentioned the ELDs and called them life-saving technology. I believe that the committee entirely agrees with you. I am disturbed by claims that the ELDs are the cause of major disruptions in the trucking industry. Let's look at what they do. The requirement to move to electronic timekeeping does not make any change in the underlying duty rules. A driver is legally allowed to drive for the same amount of time, whether tracking hours electronically or on paper. The difference, of course, is in having an ELD means a driver must completely and fully comply with federal limits. I'm not sure, therefore, what the objection should be. I strongly support the ongoing dialogue. It's the way to proceed, in my judgment, among the U.S. DOT and Congress toward the collaboration that has moved us this far. I note that we do not have representatives from the American Trucking Association, the Owner-Operated Drivers Association, or labor. We do not have a shipper witness. I believe that complex motor carrier safety regulatory issues warrant robust discussion in Congress with all stakeholders, representative hearings where a wide swath of industry is left off the agenda amount to a missed opportunity. I ask unanimous consent to include in the hearing record submissions from stakeholders not able to sit at the witness test table for today's hearing. Could I have a consent for that, Mr. Chairman? Without objection. Finally, I would like again to extend, I would like at this time also to welcome Jennifer Tierney, who will be on the second panel, and other volunteers from the Truck Safety Coalition in the audience today. Thank you for this hearing.
I will now turn to Chairman of the full committee, Bill Scherzer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and